All right, here we go. I certainly have the hands-free device today. Hey, lifers, how you doing? This is your buddy Tom. Whoop! I've got stuff flying around here as we get rolling. We are on the road, on the road. It is the Whole30 Challenge, day 26. It's been a week since my last update. I'm going to let that go there so I don't have it wobbling too much. Heading home. I am on the road. Had a good day in the field today, but I am heading home and wanted to check in on day 26. It's been an eventful week. I didn't do videos this week. I don't know, stuff and things happen. It's been a busy week, and I didn't stick to my daily videos that I was doing, but that's okay too. I mean, sometimes you get too much of a good thing and it's diminishing returns. But I wanted to put this one together and give you a little different perspective. When I was coming back from Green Bay, I was like, oh, I wish I could see everything. Well, kind of rigged up a system here so you can actually see what I see. I just can't take too many sharp turns or the whole thing's going to fall over. But heading back home, and it's day 26. It's been an eventful week. How have I been feeling? I've been feeling good. I had another one of those early mornings this morning. I was up at 4. I know, it's crazy. I think my brain was churning a little bit. We had Greg Burns, Captain Lumbersquatch. He was over last night. We had a great time, great conversation with him. Julie and I sat down with microphones with Greg, and we did a nice podcast. I almost think we talked for 2 hours. I mean, I think we went for quite a while. It was really good conversation though, and it was really kind of getting the heart of the matter of, what is small scale life? What are we trying to accomplish? Digging into some really good topics, and so I got to give Greg a lot of kudos. I think it was a lot of fun. It was so fun having him over. We had a great dinner. I made a venison roast, then a roast from Yellow Hutch Farms. It's a farm north of the Twin Cities. They've got chickens, they got pigs, they got beef. It's all pasture raised. We bought some, and we had it for Greg, and we had some potatoes and salad. It was a really good dinner, and we wanted to show Greg a good time, give him some good comfort food. We gave him a bottle of kombucha and sent him on his way. But it was just so fun seeing him and talking with him and hanging out with him for a few hours. It was great. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. Other than that, so doing that podcast, doing that discussion, I think my brain was churning on things and really thinking about stuff and direction and what we're doing at Small Scale Life. And then, of course, my brain clicked into, oh, you're going to be growing strawberries. So what is that going to look like? How are you going to do that? Where are you going to put them? And then my brain started thinking of designs for shall we say, a vertical wicking bed, actually an elevated wicking bed where the strawberries could be in there. So yeah, my brain started to work in overtime. So that was my night. Oh, and then I started thinking of building soil, getting some worms going, composting, and oh man, it's just where my brain goes. And then still noodling on some of these big topics in the future direction of small scale life. So yeah, it was good. Having those kind of conversations is a lot of fun. You really dig into things. So how am I feeling? After another week of Whole30s down? And how did I do? That's probably the big questions here, not about small scale life stuff. But overall, went pretty well. I did, on Wednesday, I got together with some old friends from the light rail project. We sat down, we had some dinner. Dinner I did just fine. I had grilled chicken breast and a salad, but I did have a couple beers. So that's heavy carb, heavy sugar, and alcohol, right? So those things coming at me. I felt sluggish yesterday, but it didn't stop me from, getting the house ready and making a nice dinner and all that good stuff, and then having a good podcast. So, but yeah, that was not on the plan, and it's not something I'm going to be repeating. But otherwise, I've been sticking with the plan. I've been sleeping really good, except for last night. This morning I was just up, and I was up before Jules, and even got a nice breakfast together for her. She forgot to set her alarm, and she was sleeping pretty good. So, yeah, it was, the brain just gets moving. Other than that, how have I been feeling? Pretty good overall. Haven't been doing any cheating. Been eating really good food. Whether it's the, eggs in the morning, or a big salad at lunch, or even some big salads in the evening. Had the roast last night with the potatoes. I've eaten really well. I mean, this is a I guess diet, not really a diet, but a reset where, I have everything I need, and it's been good. And I was looking, we took some pictures with Greg last night. I was looking at those pictures like, wow, I can really see a difference. And if I can see the difference, I see this face every day, I'm sure you're going to really see a difference when I throw a picture up from when we started to where we are today, or at the end of this. So we are coming to the end of the road on this Whole30 challenge, at least this one. If I do another one in the future, we'll see where that takes me. And you're probably thinking, well, what comes next? And that's a question that Jules and I were discussing. What does come next with this Whole30? Because once the Whole30 challenge is done, I mean, you could go back into another Whole30 or keep her moving, right? But we'll kind of switch a little bit, because really the next phase is testing. See how your body does when you add bread, right? Or you add grains, or you add some dairy back into it, and see how your body reacts. Try these different foods and see what your body, if you're not feeling well, feeling bloated, or, just feeling sick or spacey, those are triggers. That's foods you probably want to stay away from. And I think, for me, I know carbs does it. It does make me feel a little spacey. At least doing the liquid diet and then having some carbs, I felt really weird, So that's probably an area where I'm going to have to stay away from. Dairy, we'll have to see. Grains, we'll have to see. And I really want to break some old patterns and habits and not have cocktails and stuff. We had Greg over. We didn't have any. It was a lot of fun, and we had a great conversation. You don't need alcohol all the time. So yeah, I mean, we'll be doing some testing, some further testing. But Julie and I talked about the next step, and it's going to be more kind of almost kind of the same, but we'll test a little bit. It's going to be more like a paleo type lifestyle. So really keeping it real food and staying away from a lot of the processed stuff, and just seeing how our bodies react to things. So that's the game plan. That is the game plan, and I'm pretty excited about it. I think, I'm at a stage here where I've said in other places, I've done 16 different diets. 15 have been kind of failures. 14 have been kind of failures. And that's all on me, just not keeping with it and then just falling back into the same old patterns. So really need to strive to, we've had 30 days of this, almost 30 days of this, and hopefully been building up some good patterns, good habits. And we'll stay away from the diet stay away from heavy duty processed stuff, keep it real food, and move forward in that regard. So that's the game plan going forward. It's a lifestyle. It's not a crash course diet, and that was the problem, because I was on a liquid diet before we started the Whole30 thing. And that was one of the problems with the liquid diet, is how is that sustainable? I'm going to get done with the liquid diet and then start adding food back in, but have you corrected the behaviors and your tendencies that got you in that position before you did the liquid diet? So yeah, that's a crazy place right over there with they got some crazy floats and stuff. It's a whole little park. I've never been over there, but the guy's got all kinds of interesting floats and stuff. And I don't know if he's open to the public or not. I don't know if you saw that on the camera. This does have a wider angle, so maybe you did. Anyway, So, that's one of the problems with the liquid diet. It was going to end, and I needed to have tools. I needed to have something to go to fall back on once that ended. And this is where the nutritionist, where those folks were going to take me. We just kind of short-circuited and went early. But I've been feeling good, and overall, I mean, the transition went well. I didn't have some of the side effects like some others do when they go from just the way they normally eat to Whole30, because there is kind of a resetting process. It's almost like a detox process. We'll call it detox because you're cutting off the inflow of the starches and the sugars and the carbohydrates and all the processed stuff, and your body just goes, oh, because it's so used to getting a constant drip of that, and you're kind of eliminating that. So, so we've reset, and we are towards the end here, and it's time to look forward to the next phase of this. So I'm pretty excited about it. I think I feel pretty good, and I'm looking forward to what comes next and really try to implement this stuff. And the other thing probably is to implement more movement, because I just got to build that into my schedule. And sometimes it gets a little hard, but that's an excuse too, right? You got to choose your hard. It's either hard, figure it in, build it into the schedule now, or you'll be figuring it in when you have to. So I'd rather do it on my own terms. But that's something for the next phase we'll be working on too. Crazy time of year. I've had work has been busy. I'm opening up some new doors at work and trying some new things that I haven't done before. So there's a learning curve there, but once you get it, you'll have it down. It's like anything else. The other thing is, getting the podcast up and rolling and getting content out. That's always a weekly effort. So, if you haven't checked it out, this week we had a post up on I had a conversation with my friend Jay. He's in Virginia, and he has a 2-acre homestead in a rural spot on a mountain. And he is looking at ways to grow food on this piece of property he's got. It's got a lot of red oaks there. It slopes away from his house, so in the front yard he can have some gardens, but backyard it kind of slopes away. He's got some wildlife he's got to contend with, but he's got some wicking beds that are built with, I'll call it my design, but it's wicking bed design. And he's going to get into growing some mushrooms. He's got a lot of oak trees. He's going to inoculate some oak trees and start growing mushrooms. And then at the same time, he's going to start some microgreens up too. So he's trying to use his resources and do a lot of growing in small spaces. So it fits right in with small scale gardening. And this was part of a 2-hour conversation. So I've got other pieces and bits of that conversation that we're going to be adding to the mix. And are adding to the podcast. One we're going to do on chickens. We're going to talk about chickens, and you'll hear some funny kind of stuff there. We're going to talk about wellness, and we're going to talk about building communities. So it'll be a lot of fun. And these are going to be different pieces. Oh, and then we're going to talk about his wicking beds too. So that's another segment too. So I got about 4 segments out of that. And they're going to be varying lengths of the podcast. So probably like 20-minute chunks, 15, 20-minute chunks. So like I said, in the podcast from this week, it was a 40-minute podcast, and it was breaking that 2-hour conversation down into smaller bite-sized pieces. So that's probably going to be the bigger piece of that 2-hour conversation. Then I've got in the can. I've got a interview with Michael Bell from Dallas Half Acre Farm. That's going to be a lot of fun. We talk about the massive changes at his farm and what he's doing, some of the challenges he's facing with new properties and new startups, And you're going to run into these things too if you start gardening. Anytime you start up a new effort, you're going to run into challenges. You're going to have to figure out how to adapt and overcome. And I'm going to be providing some information to him to help try to build his soil and give him a better, try to improve his soil and build a better farm. So that's going to be a collaboration we're doing together. It'll be a lot of fun. We don't talk about that in particular in this podcast, but we do talk about compost. We talk about trying to build soil. So that's a good chunk of this podcast. And then the next podcast, another interview was, of course, Greg Burns. He's got the audio for that. He brought his mobile kit, and I was drooling over some of his tech. It was a lot of fun. We had a good conversation. It was Julie and me. We both sat down with Greg, and we were just telling our story. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. Over on Small Scale Gardening, I've got a lot of stuff on the plate. There's been a lot of questions, really good stuff. So I will be putting together some posts. I'm a little behind on some posts there. I got to just write and get some stuff posted for some of the members there. So if you want to join Small Scale Gardening, head over there on Facebook. Come over to smallscalegardening.com. You can see some of the stuff there. I know we're simulcasting on smallscalelife.com. So, it's the podcast is this. You'll get that over on Small Scale Life, but there's other videos and things on Small Scale Gardening that are not on Small Scale Life. So, that's kind of where we're at. So I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm coming into the Twin Cities, and I probably should turn off this camera because once we get in traffic, it's always interesting. So it's getting to be that time of day where we're going to run into it. You'll see the chaos, the chaos of the Twin Cities traffic, but it's not LA, it's not Chicago, it's not New York, but it's got its own issues. So anyway, hope you have a great weekend. Again, Life for Live Whole30 challenge, day 26. Oh my gosh, we've got 4 days left of the challenge, and we're into living. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So check out the podcast. I'm going to try to get some other things up. It's been a long time since I've had a news from around the bend. I got to get one posted. Some really good content out there, some other good videos, good video channels. Some friends of mine are doing some really good work, so I want to give them some credit, give them a little pub, and just build the community. So on that, I'm going to head out and get some things done. So this is Tom from Small Scale Life. Remember to learn, do, grow, and be a little better every Remember to learn, do, grow, and be a little better every day. Oh my gosh, tongue-tied on a Friday. So happy Friday, lifers. Let's get her done. Hope you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.